AI-powered analytics, content, audio and video creation by tenGEN AI by Tensorminds Private Limited.
Today, we're analyzing Good Foods Ketchup and Biryani Recipe Masala Sales. Good Foods Company's 2022 Karachi sales data reveals interesting correlations. Ketchup sales, totaling over 378 million Pak rupee, show a strong positive relationship with population density. Higher population areas consistently generated higher sales. This is further supported by the Nightlight's Radiance heat map. Brighter areas, indicating higher economic activity, also correspond to higher ketchup sales. This suggests that areas with more people and more vibrant nightlife are key markets. Population density is a crucial factor for both ketchup and biryani recipe masala sales in Karachi. Nightlight's Radiance provides additional insight, particularly for ketchup, highlighting the importance of targeting high-activity areas for optimal sales performance. The inputs for this analysis are just the map visuals and quarterly sales by each category. Join us next in interesting and insightful ketchup and biryani recipe masala talks.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
I'm ready. Always excited to see what we uncover.
Me too. And this one's particularly interesting, I think. We're looking at Good Foods Company. They make ketchup, biryani, all sorts of things. But we're focusing on their sales in Karachi, Pakistan, back in 2022.
Karachi, now that's a fascinating market. So much potential there.
Yeah, and the report we have here doesn't just give us, plain sales figures.
Yeah.
It actually maps it all out.
Maps, like geographically.
Yeah, like we can see where the sales are strongest, overlaid on population density maps.
Oh, wow. So we can see if there's a correlation between where people live and how much ketchup or biryani they're buying?
Exactly. But hold on, it gets even cooler. They also layered in nighttime radiance data.
Nighttime radiance. That's a new one for me. What exactly is that?
Well, it's basically a measure of how much light is being emitted at night, which can be a proxy for economic activity.
Oh, I see. So brighter areas on the map probably mean more businesses, more people out and about, more economic buzz, basically.
Right. So imagine, being able to see not just where people live, but also where they're spending their money and how that connects to what they're eating. It's like having a treasure map for business success.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing that's where the real insights lie, right? Seeing those connections between demographics, economics, and consumer behavior.
You got it. And one of the first things that jumped out at us when we started looking at this report was that while Good Foods Company's ketchup and biryani were both selling well, their sales maps were telling totally different stories, almost like they were following different rules of the game.
Really? Different rules? That's interesting. Tell me more.
All right, so let's start with ketchup. In 2022, Good Foods Company raked in, get this, almost 380 million Pakistani rupees from ketchup sales in Karachi alone.
Whoa, that is a lot of ketchup. Karachi must really love their condiment.
They do. And the report shows a pretty strong correlation between ketchup sales and population density. More people, more ketchup.
Okay, that makes sense. Seems pretty straightforward. The more mouths to feed, the more ketchup you need.
Yeah, you'd think so, right? But there's a twist. Even in areas that aren't as densely populated, we still see higher ketchup sales, where there's a lot of economic activity. Those bright spots on the nighttime radiance map.
So even if there aren't as many people living in a particular area, if there's a lot of economic buzz going on, they're still buying a lot of ketchup. Why do you think that is?
Well, imagine this, all right? Picture yourself walking through a bustling night market in Karachi. The air is thick with all those amazing aromas, sizzling kebabs, spicy pakoras, everything. You grab yourself a piping hot samosa, and what's the perfect condiment?
Ketchup. Of course. It's the perfect pairing.
Right. So it seems those vibrant areas, even if they're not the most densely populated, they're ketchup hotspots.
Makes sense. People are out and about, enjoying themselves, maybe grabbing some street food, and they need their ketchup. So it's not just about how many people live in an area, but also about how active and lively it is.
But there's one more thing I notice in the data that I'm not quite sure how to explain. We see this consistent north-south divide in sales for both products, with significantly higher sales in the north and central areas. Is there something specific about those areas that might explain this?
Oh.
And is it something beyond just population density?
that's a great observation, and you're right to question whether it's solely due to population density.
Right.
This north-south divide is a really interesting trend,
Yeah.
and it points to potential economic disparities within the city.
Oh, okay. Exactly. And that's what's so cool about this report. It's letting us see those connections. Now, the report breaks down ketchup sales by quarter. And while the first quarter had the highest sales, there are some interesting dips and rises throughout the year. We might dig into that later. But for now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about biryani.
Okay, biryani. Now that's a whole other culinary experience, right? Not just a simple condiment.
Absolutely. And while Good Foods Company sold a respectable amount of biryani in 2022, over 81 million Pakistani rupees worth, the sales patterns are way less clear-cut than with ketchup.
Oh, how so? It doesn't follow population density or nighttime radiance?
Not nearly as neatly, no. The biryani hotspots on the map seem to be playing by their own rules. It's really interesting.
That is curious. Why do you think that is? Any theories?
Well, we were thinking, unlike ketchup, which is, a simple condiment, biryani is a meal in itself, often associated with special occasions and gatherings.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe people in some areas of Karachi view biryani as more of a celebratory dish, something for special occasions rather than everyday meals.
Exactly. So it's not as simple as, more people equals more biryani. There's something else going on there. And the report also highlights some fascinating cultural factors that might be influencing the sales of both ketchup and biryani. Things like Ramadan, Eid, even the winter wedding season.
The cultural context. That's always a crucial piece of the puzzle when you're trying to understand consumer behavior. It's not just about where people live or how much money they spend, but also about their traditions, their holidays, the special moments in their lives.
Right, and how all of that shapes what they choose to eat. Okay, so let's get into that cultural context a bit then. See how it all ties into Good Foods Company's sales. Now, the report specifically points out that Q2 of 2022, that included Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr.
Oh yeah, of course, big celebrations.
Exactly. And then Q3 had Eid al-Adha. And of course, winters in Karachi, that's prime wedding season. Lots of big gatherings happening.
Right. And all those events, they definitely influence what people are eating, what they're buying. Like Ramadan, for instance. Big month, right?
Why?
Fasting during the day for Muslims, and then those big iftar meals in the evening.
Iftar, yeah, where everyone breaks the fast together. It's a huge deal.
Huge. Families, communities, everyone comes together, and, food is like the centerpiece of it all.
So how do you think all that ties into Good Foods Company, their sales, especially for biryani?
Well, think about it this way, okay? Ramadan, Karachi, the sun sets, everyone's getting ready for iftar, that big meal to break the fast. What are they serving?
Biryani. It's perfect for those kinds of gatherings.
It is, yeah, exactly. Rich flavors, celebratory vibes, it just fits.
And while the report did show a little dip in biryani sales that quarter, it's got to be because people were, probably focusing on other types of food during the actual fasting period.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then they'd stock up on biryani for those big Eid feasts afterward.
Yeah. It's like, got to understand the flow of these events, right?
Wow.
How it all impacts what people are buying, what they're eating, and when.
It's all connected. And then, of course, you have Eid al-Adha and the wedding season in Q3. Probably another bump for biryani sales, right? Traditional dish for big gatherings, weddings, celebrations. It's perfect.
It is,
Yeah.
So even though we don't see that super clear link between biryani sales and population or, nighttime radiance like we do with ketchup, when you factor in that cultural context, it all starts to make sense.
Exactly. It's like the numbers tell one story, but then you add in the human element, the cultural layer, and suddenly you get this whole new level of understanding.
It's like the data is the map, but the culture is the compass,
I like that, yeah.
Okay.
And it just goes to show you, right? You got to go beyond just the raw data. You got to really understand the nuances of the market, the people, their culture, their traditions.
And for a company like Good Foods, if they can tap into that, the possibilities are huge. Imagine if they ramped up their marketing right before these big cultural events. Maybe they create special Ramadan or Eid packages, target those specific moments when people are looking for those traditional dishes.
Absolutely. They could see a real jump in sales, I bet. It's all about playing to those cultural rhythms,
Exactly. And then for ketchup, maybe they double down on those areas with high nighttime radiance, those bustling night markets we were talking about, the street food hubs.
Yeah, get those prime spots, make sure everyone sees those ketchup bottles when they're grabbing their samosas and kebabs.
Right. It's all about tailoring strategies to the product, to the people, to the moment, understanding what drives those choices.
Data's powerful, but it's most powerful when we understand the story behind it, right?
Yeah.
And in this case, it's the story of the people of Karachi, their culture, their traditions, their connection to food, all of that woven into the numbers.
Beautifully put. We started with these maps and sales figures, but it's the human element that really brings it all to life. And that brings us to, I think, the most important question for our listeners. What can they take away from all this? What does this deep dive tell us about business, about the power of data?
Biggest takeaway. Context is king. I mean, with ketchup, we see those clear patterns, right? Population, nighttime radiance, boom, there it is. But with biryani, it's the cultural context that really unlocks the story.
Yeah, it's like those hidden patterns that only emerge when you know what to look for, you know?
Exactly. Data can show you the trends, the connections, but it's the story behind the data that gives you the real insights, the why behind the what.
It's like we've been on this treasure hunt, and the real treasure is this, deeper understanding of people, their behavior, their motivations. So let's leave our listeners with a question to ponder, all right? Imagine you're advising Good Foods Company. You have all this data, sales figures, maps, cultural insights, everything. What's the next move?
What's the big play?
Exactly. Do they, play it safe, focus on what's already working, or do they take a risk, try something new, shake things up a bit?
Maybe they launch a whole new line of biryani flavors tailored to specific neighborhoods. Or create like a mobile app, where people can pre-order ketchup and snacks at those street food stalls. Or how about partnering with local artists to design like limited edition packaging that celebrates Karachi's culture?
So many possibilities. It's like the data has given us the roadmap, but the destination, that's up to us to imagine. So, to our listeners, what's your vision for Good Foods Company? What delicious future will you create? It's like we've got this, secret decoder ring for the entire market. We can see what's driving those choices.
And we've only just started to figure it out. It's exciting.
Yeah. This deep dive, we've just scratched the surface, right? There's much more to explore. Like, think about this. Weather patterns.
Weather? Interesting. Yeah, you could layer monsoon season data onto those sales maps, right? See how that impacts things.
Exactly. Would people crave, comfort food more when it's pouring rain? Would they stay away from those outdoor markets, maybe order more deliveries?
Right. Huge impact on how people behave, what they're eating. You could even see, which neighborhoods rely more on delivery services during the monsoon season.
Oh, that's good. And then there's the whole social media angle, right?
Yeah.
Track online conversations about good foods, see how that all translates to actual sales.
Yeah, the digital world. So much data there. You could see which neighborhoods are, super active online, talking about food, sharing pictures.
Totally. And do certain products, generate more buzz than others? Do people post more about their biryani experiences or their ketchup? We could find out.
Endless possibilities, really. It's like with each layer we peel back, we find new connections, new insights. That's what makes data analysis so fascinating. It's a constant journey of discovery.
And the best part, you don't have to be, some data whiz to appreciate it. This deep dive, it's all about showing everyone, our listeners, how data can help us understand the world around us. Even something like, Ketchup and Biryani Sales.
Exactly. It's about giving people the tools to think critically, to ask questions, to see the patterns and the stories that are hidden in the numbers.
Because data is everywhere, right? It's all around us, and it's telling us something if we just know how to listen.
We just need to learn its language.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, we want to leave you with, one final thought to chew on. Imagine, all right, you're in charge of Good Foods Company. You've seen those sales figures, you know the market, you've felt that vibrant energy of Karachi. What's your next move? Do you stick with what's working, play it safe? Or do you try something new, something bold, take a risk?
Maybe you go all in on new biryani flavors, tailor-made for different neighborhoods. Or what about those pop-up ketchup stands near those street food hotspots?
Ooh, I like that. Or partner with, local musicians or artists to create a good foods festival, a big celebration of food and culture.
The data's given us the roadmap, but the destination, that's up to you. So what's your vision for Good Foods Company? What incredible future are you going to create?
Keep those ideas coming, folks. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into this amazing world of data. Who knows what we'll uncover next time on The Deep Dive.
AI-powered analytics, content, audio and video creation by tenGEN AI by Tensorminds Private Limited. Thank you for listening.